You may be surprised to learn that seduction isn't noisy, ostentatious, or even deliberate, but rather a delicate psychological dance, and recognize a lady who wants to be intimate. Seldom makes a direct announcement. Instead, she uses whispers to make her intentions known, of voice changes, body language, and closeness that lasts for a moment as well. These indications are not erratic flashes. In the dark, they are cautiously coordinated motions. Sometimes most men are cognizant, although they are often unconscious. Ego or impulse-driven blindness misses them. This is the only place where the Stoic guy has Stoicism's benefit. Isn't about being detached from the outside world, yet mastering the Stoic person does not behave rashly. To outside signals, yet pays attention to them, with grounding oneself in clarity, knowledge, and patience. In this age-old concept, you acquire the capacity to recognize subtle indications that others ignore and take action with composed assurance. When the time is yes, this goes beyond theory. It is supported by psychological research. Research from behavioral scientists demonstrates the attraction often materializes in micro-expressions, quick movements, and glances. Significant changes in tone that indicate deeper women in particular have adept intentions. In creating these tests of nonverbal clues, knowledge of a guy without ever saying straight to their wants. So how do you recognize these messages without sacrificing oneself to overanalyze or make erroneous presumptions that we will examine in this guide? 6 strong indicators that a lady may want to sleep with you, deciphered by use of through a Stoic and psychological viewpoint. Each sign, when properly understood, it provides insight, not only into what she wants, but also into your own self-control. Let's get started. The quiet language of attraction stays grounded. Be alert. The Stoic watches and is aware of when to show signs of slowness. Show her eyes have the weight of her eyes are the windows to 1,000 words. As they say, the soul. But in reality, the eyes are more than just poetic allegories. They serve as communication instruments. Relationship and sometimes seduction, a woman's long-term stare, might reveal layers of significance from awe to interest to want. But the difficulty is in making a clear distinction between these subtleties and keeping your cool under pressure. In the phenomena of sustained making eye contact is associated with higher amounts of the bonding hormone oxytocin. When two individuals look at each other, they activate the brain pathways connected to. Consider the extent of closeness and trust is expressed without using any words. Uttered, although in contrast to males who often approach women, often employ direct attraction. More subdued signals, such as the deliberate long look, now here's when. Adopting a Stoic mentality turns into your superpower that a guy who is reactive might interpret the extended eye quickly. Contact as a sign of romantic desire and behavior hurriedly. The Stoic observes without bias, interpreting without presumption. Marcus Aurelius highlighted the influence of perception on impulsive writing. You are in charge of your. Keep in mind that external events are aware of this, and you'll become stronger. Let's dismantle the elements of a woman's eyes during she is physically interested in you. Level linger time. If her eyes stay for more than 3 seconds, it indicates a deliberate choice to stay involved. Her eyes are softened by your presence. Usually, eyes will calm down with the less tension in the muscles around them, often corresponds with sincere emotional warmth, or pupils' dilated state of vulnerability, while subtle pupil dilation is an involuntary sign of attraction and heightened interest. Beyond science, there's also the game of cat and mouse. Many ladies play utilizing eye contact as a means of she could give you a quick glance out of attraction. Look away, then look back to see whether you continue to pay close attention. This is a covert method of evaluating, a method by which she may determine your degree of without running the risk of being rejected interest. What is the Stoic's reaction to you? Recognize the gaze and remain calm, and calmly make eye contact again. Intensity. Don't falter out of fear or transition into hasty action. The gaze is, it's a conversation rather than only an invitation, one in which quiet is more powerful than words sign. 2. The dance of closeness. She develops methods to get intimate without requesting. One of the first languages is proximity, of attraction, an interested lady. You may not state her explicitly, plans, but will instead speak. This is the skill of using spatial clues to proximity, without requesting a nonverbal signal that encourages intimacy when maintaining believable deniability. Cognitively, humans have an entrenched knowledge of personal. Edward Hall, the pioneer of proxemics in space, identified 4 interpersonal zones. Space, private, social, and public. When a lady purposefully walks in your private area, often within 18 inches, she is expressing comfort, trust, and often. But how do you differentiate between unintentional closeness and with purposeful aim? 1. Constant. Does she find a cause to be there? Often close to you, even when other options for standing or sitting include. 2. Body orientation. Compensation is possible. Check to see whether her body is angled. Regarding you, psychologists use this as nonverbal cues, which is an unconscious measure of concentration and interest. In the 3rd, inadvertent contact. She could come into contact with your arm and tilt slightly closer while speaking, or in a position herself, in close enough proximity to her stoicism, serves as a reminder that presence is palpable. Not to respond hastily to these signals, the patience lessons taught by Seneca emphasize how crucial it is to wait for lucidity prior to projecting a grim demeanor. Notices her closeness without assuming desire right now. He permits her behavior to develop organically. Keeping one's cool instead of making hasty judgments is a typical error. Men tend to overanalyze closeness. Detachment is necessary for a Stoic attitude, not apathy but composed observation, when women perceive that you stay grounded. Internal stability that often intensifies the reason for their curiosity is because you're indicating a lack of necessity is uncommon, and appealing quality in a world full with reactive behavior is an additional layer too. The moment of closeness is when she gets closer. Amid times of high emotional intensity like is, after giggling or after sharing a personal narrative that highlights the possibility that she may remain attractive, sensitive to these changes, without using words. Recognition that you keep things under control, control the circumstance, and refrain from showing overly eager or desperate sign. 3. Her hand's delicate touch speaks louder than her use of language is among the most ancient and most potent human communication long before we. The use of words touched everything from comfort, power, and desire. When a lady wants to be intimate, her hands become messengers who convey a lot without saying only one word. From a physical contact, from a psychological standpoint, triggers the reward centers in the brain, releasing serotonin and dopamine, the same substances that give us emotions of enjoyment and interaction. Researchers discovered that even a short appearance, inadvertent contact, may greatly enhance the sensations of attraction and proximity. But here's the key. Ladies are masters of subtlety when it comes to touch. In contrast to males who could be more overt, women frequently stretch limits with light, brief interactions before intensifying to longer or more purposeful motions, kinds of tiny cues to look out for. These are inadvertent grazes that happen when she rubs up against your hand or arm or shoulder accidentally. But often, these touches are not at all like 2 unintentional anchoring touches when her hand is on your arm as she. In the course of a discourse, it conveys ease and confidence. 3 gentle pushes that are fun accompanied by laughter often indicates lust and a drive to produce forth. Physical chemistry lingers contact if she makes a brief touch longer than is required. Yet, it's a powerful indication of interest. Presently, the Stoic answer is not to quickly return the favor or take Seneca's suggestion further. To embrace pleasure without holding on to it acknowledges the touch in this instance, but don't overreact. Use restraint. Conveys assurance and mastery. It often piques her interest and attractiveness. Women are alert to how, if you flinch in response to their touch or retreat, you run the danger of sending unease or indifference. If you reply too excitedly, you run the danger of seeming as desperate. Stoic, and in the midst strategy is to stay rooted and calmed, enabling her to direct the naturally occurring increase in physical interaction. One intriguing psychological finding is the fallacious notion of reciprocal contact when you are touched, your brain is wired to react by giving the Stoic a touch back. Man, however, is an expert at delaying reciprocity rather than instantly. He waits for the contact, mimicking hers. Appropriate time to reinforce his restraint and composed authority. In this draws attention in social psychology. Things women often find intoxicating fascinating, since it doesn't instantly satisfy her irrational need for return. You establish yourself as a guy who works according to his own terms, uncommon in a world where the majority of individuals are slaves to automatic responses. Indicate her voice's change in tone becomes the way someone is softer and more personal. Talks discloses more than just what they say, and voice modulation in social psychology is seen as a crucial sign of attraction. When a lady wants a closer relationship or intimate physical contact, her voice tone gradually transforms, becoming softer and warmer. And more slowly, as if she's unconsciously establishing an area where, imagine if she and you are the only ones who exist. Have you ever seen how discussions sound between lovers, as opposed to the terms themselves may be unfamiliar to foreigners? Ordinary, yet the delivery conveys this is the vocal's magnetic charge. Intimacy. Paradox. The more silent the voice, the more powerful its emotional attraction. Psychological underpinnings of vocal changes, studies that were published in. According to evolutionary psychology, both men and women reduce their pitch upon addressing someone they discover. A deeper, huskier tone conveys attractiveness, friendliness and reliability, while also dopamine stimulation in the brain of the women who listen naturally use this strategy without even being aware of it, using their voice to arouse interest. Identifying the symptoms of vocal key oral clues are the main attraction here. To hear at a single, lowered level, if she starts talking more quietly, nearly insisting that you lean in. This isn't just a coincidence, it's a purposeful try to establish closeness with too slow a speech. With a slower tempo that becomes longer, implies coziness and a want to hold 3 entertaining ways to keep your attention longer. Listen for lilting or teasing inflections. Playfulness often conceals deeper. 4 exclusive conversations of flirting. When her voice shifts in private discussions as opposed to group conversations, it's an important indication that she has a distinct Stoic view of you. The application is still rounded in the sexy sounds that a Stoic guy may identify these indications, but maintains composure. Her voice's gentleness might agitate primal feelings, but you have to fight the want to overreact or make an incorrect interpretation of it. Seneca serves as a reminder that he is everywhere, is not found anywhere in her tone, is absorbed in the discourse, but do not allow it to impair your judgment by communicating while being calm and in control. Power and emotional fortitude, attributes that women find very appealing to you. An unflinching expression indicates that you are not influenced by simple charm, yet are based on self-control and sophisticated. Here, the Stoic strategy is to mimic without imitation, without having to drop intentionally, keeping your voice at a steady, yet a little slower. Cadence in synchronicity is created by reaction, which enhances emotional rapport. Regulated reaction maintains the tension-filled discourse without coming out as too eager. 5. She confronts you in a light-hearted defiance, with joking and taunting in contrast to, contrary to common opinion, attractiveness doesn't necessarily seem as compliance or sweetness. Occasionally, it manifests as playful. Defiance is a dance of the mind in which teasing turns into a seductive tactic. A lady who uses banter to flirt isn't. She's merely being clever and trying to test the capacity to stay up and maintain your position without disrupting the psychology of revealing studies that were published in the Journal of Social and Personal. According to psychology, teasing in romantic settings are a kind of relational play makes the stakes low. Setting for investigating chemistry and women with compatibility who are drawn to. Someone often uses light-hearted difficulties in determining confidence. And why is emotional stability important? Because there are two sides to teasing. The Stoic guy sees it as a chance to demonstrate wit, emotional resilience, and for the guy who is reactive, calm dominance turns into a trap that makes people defensive, or uncomfortable indications of flirty overcompensation. Disobedience when someone makes fun of your tastes. I didn't thought you liked that band. Were of the kind. I bet that you will have 2 amusing arguments. Couldn't even get by without you for a day. Oh my God. Phone 3's excessive sarcasm Mr. Stoic is unconcerned about. What's the main difference between flirty and teasingly friendly? She displays defiance in the way she delivers her physique and her amused eyes sparkle. She's welcoming you, and the language is still open. Into a light-hearted conversation without assaulting, you're becoming better at playing with the Stoic reaction. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have conflict. Control over your thoughts, not external circumstances. Use this knowledge by being unfazed." Despite her difficulties, she smiles react with a cool sense of humor and turn her hinting at a chance to construct. Here's a good tip. Never escalate the rapport. Defensively, rather than by imitating her playfulness, combined with a hint of assurance. Wow, you believe that you are mysterious. Calmly, I like mysterious but near enough by not allowing yourself to be shaken. Exhibit the quality of emotional mastery. That appeals to women as well as encourages a greater level of playfulness and attraction. When handled properly, defiance turns becomes a group adventure instead of the mirror effect is the 6th battleground indication. She starts imitating what you do. As they say, imitation is the purest form of kind of flattery. But within the context of additionally, it's one of the most strong subliminal cues. Psychologists call this phenomenon as reflecting the location of a person subconsciously imitates the motions, posture, as well as the spoken habits of someone they find attractive and want to imitate is based on mirror neurons in the brain, which are in charge of empathy and relationship when a female begins. It's a powerful reflection of your actions. Symptom that she is siding with both of you, psychologically and emotionally, signs that one position is being mirrored, matching if your chair is leaned back. She could do the same thing 2 minutes later. Watch for her with synchronized gestures. Imitating your hand gestures or gestures used in the 3rd discussion speech patterns, if her tone, pace or vocabulary begins to sound more like yours, it's an obvious indication of rapport-building alignment in the event that your mood changes, and she reflects that energy calming down or more lively. It's a more profound kind of why mirroring is emotional. indicates a psychological attraction. Using perspective mirroring, one may produce unconsciously connecting with her by synchronizing actions with your. In essence, she's stating that this strategy isn't always on the same wavelength, intentional most of the time. It's naturally adopting a Stoic attitude, identifying a Stoic without taking advantage of it. This behavior is not manipulated by man, but accepts it as a normal way of expressing a relationship rather than responding with conceit or entitlement that he nevertheless exhibits. Seneca suggested being watchful and modest, being tough with others and patient with. Use this idea yourself by keeping your integrity while she mimics you. Don't change your conduct to put her to the test even more, which breaks. The organic development of relationships use mirroring to get deeper connection. 1. An advanced method is favorable confirmation when you see her mimicking your actions and discreetly rewarding them by comedy or warmth, for example, if she adopts your position. Almost as if to divulge a secret, fostering a feeling of intimacy, if she accepts and acknowledges your speech patterns, the coincidence with a light-hearted remark. Be cautious, you sound a lot like me. By being calm and taking the lead, being genuine helps you develop a dynamic in which attraction arises. There you have it. 6, of course, minor psychological indicators that a woman could want to advance the situation. However, keep in mind to recognize these indicators is more than merely chasing or conquering. It involves comprehending the complex dance of interpersonal relationships, while keeping rooted in your identity as the Stoic guy doesn't pursue passion. Carelessly or clinging to transient, he enjoys observing, interpreting, and picks his course of action carefully in the world is fixated on quick satisfaction from his cool, collected method demonstrates that silent power is more seductive and fascinating than any sleek line or eye-catching maneuver like Marcus. At one point, Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time. Debate over what a decent guy ought to be." The same is true for stopping attraction, focusing and looking for approval from others rather than developing into a man of depth. The proper balance between sincerity and purpose, relationships will inevitably converge in your direction, so the next time you feel. These indicators remind you that your power is not in responding rashly, but in reacting with composed assurance and observing, recognize, and exercise self-control. When you find this tutorial useful, don't you? Do not forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Stay stoic and tough, and I'll see you later in the next one.